If you want to know the absolute best Pictos in Expedition 33, you are in the right place. After extensively testing different Picto combination and strategies for more than 200 hours, I'll be giving my top 25 must-have Pictos that you can't afford to miss, along with useful combinations and usage tips. Following this guide will save you tons of time and guesswork, especially if there are more than 190 Pictos in the game and a lot of different combinations as well. Like for example, the Death Bomb Picto allows any character to explode when they die in combat, damaging enemies in the process. This Picto rightfully sits as an honorable mention since its overall usefulness falls under farming builds when leveling up characters or farming Luminas. Pair it with Auto Death Picto and other damage multipliers such as Glass Cannon, Inverted Affinity, Confident Fighter, and more, and you will find yourself damaging enemies and clearing the fight before the actual battle starts. This makes your farming run so much faster and more satisfying, or even streamlines and ends any battles quickly when exploring low-level areas when backtracking. Not only that, it can be used as a good opener in boss battles if you equip the second chance Picto to get auto revives after the explosion and continue the fight. Starting the actual top 25 list, and the Dead Energy 1 and 2 or the Dead Energy Picto line will be in the spotlight. Most of the Pictos on this list were grouped under a specific line to avoid redundancy like this one to make the video concise. Speaking of farming runs, Dead Energy Pictos can provide tons of value since it regains plus 6 AP when both Dead Energy 1 and 2's effect are active. You will see its value especially when trying to level up your characters in Act 3. The AP refunds that you will be getting when clearing multiple enemies are simply convenient, so you can keep casting high cost AoE damaging skills and clear farming runs quickly and easily. The combat attack Pictos are such a must-have for a lot of setups, allowing characters to hit a total of 4 hit combinations when doing normal attacks. Although you will not want this for the damage, since the overall damage of a single attack will be distributed in 4 hits, but instead your AP generations will increase by 1 per hit. This is a fantastic Picto line since you will be getting 4 AP per base attack instead of 1 AP. Pair combo attack 1 to 3 with at least energizing start 1 and get a whopping 8 AP per attack instead of 4 AP, while slotting in charging attack Pictos and allows you to gain gradient charge fast with all of the additional base attack hits. The solo Picto line or setup can be much higher on this list if you love playing solo most of the time. In fact, it is one of the must-have Pictos of solo characters. However, the majority of you surely wants to play with a party. If I want to make a solo build, the empowering Last Picto, Last Stand Critical, Solo Fighter, and Accelerating Last Stand are my top picks in this line, making solo builds godly. The top 22 spot will be taken by the double Picto line because of their amazing effects and offered value, especially when dealing with burn stacking builds or when increasing your overall damage with the Mark status. The Mark status effect is one of the best damage multiplying status effects, increasing the enemy's received damage by 50%, and that's a lot. You want to have it applied on enemies as long as possible. So the Stay Mark Picto allows the user to reapply another mark with a 50% chance when attacking a previously marked target. It's not part of the double Picto line, but I felt that it belongs in this category, especially when it comes to mark. While the double mark Picto upgrades an inflicted mark status by requiring 1 more hit to be removed. You can see this Picto in effect when the mark status icon turns into a light bluish color. While burn stacking is surely one of the best ways to deal tons of damage, and the double burn Picto doubles every burn stack the user will inflict on its target. I cannot stress how powerful this is when slotting on burn target builds, since you can easily score hundreds of burn stacks after a little amount of turns. A good build example is pairing the double burn with burning shots, energizing shots, and energy master, and making a free aim shot build, which can gain tons of AP while doing a barrage of free aim shots. The marking Pictos will take the top 21 spotlight, which can further streamline mark applications on enemies. After breaking enemies and they are stunned, you will always want to deal the highest damage possible. The marking break Picto will ensure that a mark status is in place when the enemy is stunned. One good combination would be pairing marking break with an auto death, breaking death, second chance, and stun boost, and sniper allows you to break enemies at the start of battle with the mark status effect applied, allowing you to deal tons of damage since the enemy is already stunned and suffering from a mark status, making this setup one of the staple foundations of one-shot or burst builds. While marking shots is pretty straightforward, which gives the user a 20% chance to inflict marks while doing free aim shots. This will work perfectly in AP generating free aim shots build. Since when you have good RNG while using this setup, your shots will deal tons of damage if the mark status effects kicks in frequently. I've also prepared a list in the description containing the location of all of the mentioned Pictos on this list to save you time and the hassle just in case you don't have them. If you're getting value so far, subscribe to the channel. Liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me a lot. Join our Discord server and discuss role-playing games such as this, and I appreciate your support. The greater Picto Line is more of an improvement of our staple buffs in the game like Powerful and Rush, while improving the best debuffs in the game, which are the Defenseless and Slow. We can get more damage from greater Defenseless and Powerful, but what I want to focus on are the greater Rush and Slow Picto. This is a deadly combination to make the boss do fewer turns because of the slow debuff, while your main party is buffed with greater Rush. You can easily pair greater slow and defenseless with an auto death and breaking death setup so that when you break an enemy, both slow and defenseless are applied. I've recently showcased an optimized speed stun crowd control build in my top 3 builds to beat Simon, where he was not able to take a single turn because of him suffering from stun locking and slow debuff while the party has an immense overall speed. If you're interested in the build, check the guide in the description or click the card here. Fueling Break will take the top 19 spot because of the value that it offers when it comes to burn stacking builds. What it does is it doubles the amount of burn stacks that the enemy has when breaking them. Dedicated burn and stacking builds can easily stack hundreds and even thousands of burn stacks, and the sheer idea that you can double the said burn stacks by just breaking enemies is just insane, which is not that hard to do at the end game, which warrants the Fueling Break spot on this list. What I usually do to ramp up burn stack fast is of course using skill that inflicts multiple amounts of burns. Then almost every party is equipped with burning shots, energizing shots, and sniper. So by the time the enemy is ready to be broken, he already have an ample amount of burn stacks. The Shield Picto Line can create the best defensive setups in the game, allowing players to stack shields easily and eliminating the needs of parries and dodging. When used properly, shield builds can be one of the most broken builds currently. The topics in this line are Aegis Survival, Shielding Tent, and Solidifying. But what I want to highlight is Shielding Death, which provides 3 shield stacks on allies when the user dies. In Medaia's Rest gives the user 3 shield stacks to the user but halves max HP, which you can easily disregard since most of the time, shield builds can maintain 9 shield stacks easily, eliminating you to worry about your HP. This is possible since Mael, equipped with the weapon Yeverum, can easily double her ally shield count when transitioning to Virtuous Stance, which we can easily do so by casting Last Chance. For the build example, the following combination lets you generate a huge amount of shields at the start of battle. The auto death, shielding death, and second chance works like a charm in shield generation builds, then Mael will maintain all shields in the course of battle. I have created a perfected shield build recently when farming the Dancius, where I can just face tank everything and just slows down the Dancius big time. So if you love to see that build, I've linked the guide in the description or click the card here. It not just applies on the Dancius, but it also applies in the majority of the bosses in the game. Clair's Life is one of the most interesting Pictos for HP generation builds. The user will be recovering 100% of their HP if the user does not suffer from any kind of damage during their turn. But hey Samurai, how am I supposed to not get hit in this game? Well, there are a lot of ways for you to not get hit. The first choices are parries and dodging attacks and also the obvious ones. But remember that we do have a shield setups that we just talked about. It is easy to just pair Clair's Life with a shield build and generate 100% HP in every turn. Clair's Life can be your safety net just in case the enemies manage to delete all of your shields and damage the character in the process. Exposing Picto is one of my favorite Picto lines in the game, and these Pictos or Luminas are always included in a majority of my setups. Being able to apply defenseless and slow by just attacking and breaking enemies without a need to use of an actual skill is actually broken. You might not recognize its value firsthand, but when you are into one-shot or burst setups, every turn counts, so you need to squeeze in all of the debuffs on your enemy before the main damager pulls off a big damaging skill, and the exposing Pictos will help you achieve that goal most of the time. Like for example here, when I used CL to shoot Simon, not only CL broke him after doing a free aim shots, but a defenseless was also applied. So she can cast Intervene to force Mael to play and pull off a Stendhal or a Gomage to one-shot the guy. Survivor secured the top 15 spot by allowing the user to survive a fatal damage with 1 health once per battle. But what if I told you that this is not just for defense purposes only? You can use auto death, at death's door, and more damage multipliers to increase your attack further, and also solidifying as well and slot Survivor in the build. In this setup, the user will not die and will be forced to make his or her HP to 1 because of the Survivor, while activating at death's door and solidifying and powerful shields for more damage multipliers. In this way, you've already have so much damage multiplier to pull off tons of damage, and this setup is one of the foundations of making a one-shot or burst setup work. The Energizing Pictos is easily one of the best Pictos or Lumina that you can use in the game because of this line of Pictos' ability to power up your characters with immense AP to pull off high costing skills frequently. For the sake of the video, I will be listing every Picto that I use 100% of the time when pulling off a fast AP generation build on the screen right now. Every Picto in this line is an absolute must, so I highly suggest getting them all. But the star of the show is the Energizing Shots, especially if you are into free aim shots build. With all of the key Energizing Pictos equipped, you will be generating a huge amount of AP when doing free aim shots, allowing the user to use a barrage of free aim shots, especially if you have a good RNG, and that 20% chance is fantastic. While if you do have a good AP generating free aim shots build, it can also power up a gradient charge setup like the Verso setup that you are seeing on the screen right now, highlighting Energizing parry as well, especially since the game revolves around parries and forces the player to get good at late game. Just imagine if the enemy pulls off a multi-hitting attack and you will be gaining a whopping 2 AP per parry, so you will be maxing your AP lightning fast. Speaking of gradient charges, charging gradient Pictos are your go-tos, especially if you want to spam those juicy gradient attacks. We all know how broken gradient attacks are in this game. Like for example, Mael's Gomage, which can deal 250 million damage without the roulette, or Verso's Angel Eyes, which allows him to revive once per turn. Imagine if you could spam these attacks. A lore accurate Undying Verso is 100% possible. I showcased this recently in my top 3 builds against Simon, and this immortal builds does not require any parries or dodging, just reviving all the time. Again, link in the description if you want to access the full build. This is made possible because of the Energizing Pictos that we just talked about and pairing them with the charging Pictos. Since you do have a surplus of shots, it is easy to charge the gradient charge to level 3 and pull off the said gradient attacks. Generating buff Pictos plays a huge role in making generation builds work, but what they usually do is apply an additional buffs like Rush and Shell whenever the user is buffed with a powerful. So by getting the powerful buff alone, you will have all buffs active. How can this work in AP generation builds, I hear you asking, my dear viewer? It is possible by pairing generating buff Pictos to a free aim shots generating build and slotting in Energizing Powerful, Energizing Shell, and Energizing Rush. You will be getting an additional AP on top of the AP generating Pictos that you have. It helps the Energizing Shot create a snowball effect to help you unleash a barrage of free aim shots with a higher success rate. This is where the list goes spicier, and it is without a doubt that damage multipliers are one of the best Pictos that you should be aiming for whether you are working on general builds or one-shot builds. I believe that every damage multiplier Pictos on the screen right now are pretty straightforward, so I am not going to explain every single one of them, but rather suggesting to get every one of them. But what I want to highlight is Glass Cannon, which adds 25% more damage, but the user will take 25% more damage, which is not an issue if you are using a one-shot build anyway. While Burn Affinity adds 25% more damage when attacking burning targets, which we all know by now how easy it is to inflict a burn status effect. And the same goes to Stun Boost Picto, which adds a 30% damage multiplier when hitting a stun target, which we tackled a bunch of times already, how insanely easy to break targets even when at the start of battle. Solidifying this claim further by doing our usual auto death, breaking death, inverted affinity, and sniper Picto combination. You will see this initial combination over and over when making the best one-shot builds. Securing the top 9 spot is the Burning Shots Picto. Slotting this Picto or Lumina is one of the easiest way to inflict burn on targets, especially since most of the best builds like the AP generation builds or gradient charge builds heavily relies on free aim shots. Burning Shots has a higher position on this list since it affects both damage multipliers and AP stacking setups. Take all of the things that we just talked about so far and the basic builds with Burning Shots looks like this. With this setup, you will be steamrolling AP generation and also apply burn stacks in the process without a hassle. The Energy Master Picto will rightfully be on the top 8 spot because of its exceptional value, increasing all AP gain sources by 1. With all of the things that we just talked about so far, especially AP generation setups, the Energy Master Picto will even make it broken. Even when not using AP generation builds, pair it with Energizing Turn, Energizing Parry, and Energizing Attack. You will be gaining 3 AP at the start of each turn, gain 3 AP per normal attack, and keep in mind that I haven't included combat attack Pictos here, while getting a whopping 3 AP per parry. Think about it for a second, as I'm just giving you the bare bones setup samples here. If you toss in Energy Master in a fully blown setup with all of the AP generation Pictos, then it will surely be a nightmare for your enemies since you do have a constant access with high cost skills, maxing your AP stacks most of the time. If you're following the guide so far, you have seen Second Chance again and again, as it is one of the staple Picto or Lumina when setting up a one-shot build or simply when doing break opener setups. Many see this as a defensive Picto, but I see it as an offensive one. It has a lot of applications and we've seen it many times by now, like our staple first turn break setup, which requires auto death, breaking death, second chance, and sniper. While having this setup, the user will die when the battle starts and max out the enemy break gauge. By the time second chance kicks in, you are now ready to break the enemy with a sniper and do a high cost skill. This works in a solo setup, but the second chance Picto can also be used in a party. Let's take the shield setup for example. Slot in auto death, breaking death, shielding death, and a second chance. With this setup, the party will die when the battle starts and max out the enemy's break gauge while also generating shields for all members. Shields can serve as a protection and also damage multipliers. By this time, the boss is ready to be stunned to get early damage in. Then you can maintain all shields with Mael, and the second chance clearly serve as a jump start. Securing the top 6 spot is the Inverted Affinity Picto or Lumina. Picto that applies the status element inverted for 3 turns and increases damage by 50%. This Picto is not just a damage multiplier but actually a great tool, even exploding the auto death and breaking death strategy. Like for example, you've already stunned the boss during the first turn and the boss recovered again. You can actually heal a party member so they can die again because of the inverted status and apply a max break again to the boss so it can be stunned once again. It is time for the big 5 and another Picto that you've already seen a lot in this guide, and securing the top 5 spot is the Sniper Picto. By now, you've already seen its value in multiple setups since its ability to break the target by just using a free aim shots is totally unique. But Samurai, the breaking attack Picto does break the enemy as well after pulling off a normal attack, right? Or some skills can actually break the target, so why is this special, I hear you asking? Well, both normal attacks and skills will end your turn if you use them, but unlike Sniper, free aim shots does not end your turn. Because of this, you can do sick combos or strategies after the shot in the same turn, making the Sniper one of the staple Pictos in burst or one-shot builds. Also, what if you can max out the enemy's break gauge frequently, which is the case in my Verso's Immortal build. In almost every turn, I can just break the boss with a shot and charge the gradient gauge once again, and this is not possible without the Sniper. This is made possible with the following setup, which allows Verso to do cycling revives and breaking, making the Immortal Verso build one of the strongest build in the game. I firmly believe that any kind of Picto that affects turn order or generate turns is simply broken in any turn-based games. Because of this, the turn manipulation Pictos or setup secures the top 4 spot. Quick break and first try can be self-explained, but what I want to focus on is shortcut. What it does is it generates another turn when the user's HP falls below 30%. And how can you do this, I hear you asking? Simply slot in auto death with survivor and shortcut. Auto death forces the user's HP to drop to 1 HP, giving you an additional turn at the start of battle even without the cheater Picto. Wait, so what happens if you slot in the cheater as well? Yes, it does stack, giving you a full 3 turns at the start of battle, which is totally insane. Just imagine what you can do in those 3 turns. If you love the shortcut Picto, then you will surely love the Revive Paradox Picto as well, which rightfully sits in the top 3 spot. Unlike the shortcut Picto, which you can only use once per battle, the Revive Paradox has no limits, serving as the engine of the lore-accurate Immortal Verso builds. As mentioned, this build will allow Verso to cast his gradient attack Angel Eyes in every turn, which then provides him with the Oriole buff. So every time any boss taps him in combat, he will just rise again and take his turn immediately to fast charge his gradient charge and cast Angel Eyes once again. He only manages to take his turn immediately after getting revived because of the Revive Paradox. Before you get excited, keep in mind that Revive Paradox does not stack with Cheater when the Revive Paradox effect procs. So don't waste your slot on the Cheater when going for this setup unless you want double turns at the start of battle. If you have made it this far, you already have a clue that the second best Pictos on this list is the Death Manipulation Pictos, which will be taking the spotlight. By now, you've seen auto death and breaking death Pictos used in different builds so far. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it is clear to see that this combination powers up a lot of the best builds currently, especially in fight openers, allowing them to do amazing stuff. In every build that I make, the chances are these two being removed are close to 0 because of the value that they offer to the table. This is the time that we've all been waiting for, and securing the best of the best spot and objectively the best Picto in the entire game or the player can have is the cheater Picto. I firmly believe that the cheater is the best overall, as it allows the user to play twice in a row with no special requirements or hard conditions. By just simply thinking that all of your party members will take 6 whole turns at the start of battle is simply insane. It will not have its name if it's balanced. It is simply broken in every aspect. Even though it does not stack with Revive Paradox, remember it does stack with Shortcut, allowing you to have a possible 3 whole turns. You may be wondering why I did not include the Painted Power on this actual list. It is because you will surely get it story-wise as a reward and use it anyways, and obviously every setup demands this Picto. But if I put this on this list, it is simply out of this world and it will rightfully sit in the God tier spot. I had fun creating this guide, but if you want to see all of the best Pictos on this list in action, this video will showcase most of the best Pictos in my top 3 builds against Simon. So click on this video and I will catch you on the next one.